region around the Great Lakes has been called the heartland. When it comes to agriculture, there's hardly an area in the world that compares.
Everybody, just hold on. I don't know what we're going to have here.
That's what brings the viewers back. That a boy.
Manage money, piling in.
Double digits higher.
So at this point, we're in kind of uncharted territory.
There's a lot of money on the sidelines.
So that was a crazy one.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, July 22nd, and this is the AgYield War Room. I'm Dan Dempsey, and I'll be moderating today's session. As always, if you got any questions or comments, please feel free to drop us a line in the chat area. We'll be sure to get to it during the show. Overnight markets here at September corn down 3 3/4 at $4 even. August soybeans were down 5 3/4 at $10.09 1/4. And September Chicago wheat was up a penny at $5.43 1/4. No export sales announcements out here this morning, so we'll jump right in. Yesterday afternoon, we got crop conditions. Corn unchanged, 74% in the good to excellent category, so maintained its strong rating. That's against the 64% for the average. Soybeans, however, dropped 2 points in the good to excellent category, 68%. Still above the 5-year average of 62% there. Spring wheat, 52% good to excellent. That dropped 2 points from last week. And also 2 points lower than the 5-year average of 54%. Winter wheat saw a jump in harvest, 73% harvested now. That was up 10 percentage points on against last week, and just now marginally ahead of the 5-year average of 72%. Good morning, guys. We got a couple days of heat coming through, but as we mentioned yesterday, water still seems to be trumping all. We did see an upward revision from Ag Rural here. They're at 136.3 for corn. That is up 4.4% from last month's estimate. So, you saw corn struggle overnight, some on the heels of some of that as well. And crop conditions remain strong. So I guess with that, Dustin, why don't you share a few thoughts here as we kick off the morning, and then we'll throw around the room.
Yeah, I think crop ratings just, a lot of times they'll start to tail off, right, this part of the year. And so in the last 25 years, two of the biggest crops we've had were crop ratings just slightly above here. Was the 2014-2016 corn crop. It was rated 76% good to excellent at the time. We're 74% right now. We have been for the last 5 weeks or so. Bean ratings coming down slightly. I have talked to a lot of people that just said a lot of this excess water is certainly impacting the way they look. I still think it's hard to make a call on what bean size is going to be at this time of year, but I think that there's obviously a portion of the market that's pricing in an above trend line yield for corn, and that could be very much related to the ratings. While they're not going to be a great determination for fine tuning that final yield, I do think that they're not a bad indicator for just determining the direction of the crop size. So I think the market's doing what it's supposed to be doing at the moment.
And very good. Jace, thoughts on that? Mute.
Sorry, trying to find the unmute. Yeah, I agree. Market's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Weather looked like they took maybe a little heat out, at a little rain. I'm guessing that's why we had some follow through selling with, crop conditions unchanged. Anything to add that we haven't been talking about last couple of weeks, right? Like, kind of reaching for something to talk about, but bear markets chop around sideways to lower, without new information, right? We're not getting any positive trade on China. We're not getting anything to justify, a nice little rally with funds being really short. So outside of that, if weather stays good and continues to rain, without new information, I think we should go lower, right? I mean, if we're going to be until we start getting some hard, yield information, USDA is going to come out and, do their best guess on the next report. And it's not something that you can say, well, that's what it is, right? I mean, we're going to actually have to see what the weather does, and then we have to go in the field, actually look at, what the crop size is. So it's going to take a while, so we got a lot of information to trade. And the market's going to, trade accordingly with new information. So, no, just waiting for that, I guess. Right. I mean, we talked about how that, relates to what the farmer should be doing. And we've been talking about this for weeks, obviously you have to kind of figure out what your own yields are and what we're doing at that point in time. And then how all these other revenue components that we have through Farm Bill and crop insurance, and we're just in that territory, and we hate it from consultants or brokers, or we would like to market at profitable levels, or have something outside of these government subsidized safety nets, but it's just the market we're dealing with. So no, nothing to add, Dan. I wish I had something exciting to talk about.
No doubt. Justin, good morning. I guess it'd be interesting to get kind of your take. It's just kind of blah, but maybe you got a little bit of insight here for us. You got a mute on there. There we go.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, what Jason's saying, it's, we had 20-cent rallies right now in corn, for example, with good weather, are going to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's we talked about, it was a rally in a bear market, and you kind of move up, you kind of rally up to the moving averages, and the weather's just too good, right, to have, in my opinion, have any kind of a meaningful rally unless you can prove that there's a problem. I mean, right now, yield estimates are going up, not down, for most people. And that's, I know they get tassel wrap in some exciting headlines, but generally that doesn't, move the needle much. We'll see if it's bigger than people think, but generally the, big rain, a lot of good looking crops out there. Now the question is what kind of yield are we talking about? I think, people say we have a 186 or 190 on today's date. I think silly. Could certainly be that, could be higher, right? Well, again, it's like we've talked about a lot here. You have to finish the crop off good. I mean, we're just tasseling. We're just pollinating in a lot of areas. So we have to see how we finish off. Right now, the weather pattern's been great. So if it stays like this, we'll probably have some pretty big crops. Question is, as we've gone through these numbers here with a lot of our clients, probably a better outcome to go sharply lower and have big yields, just because of all those government safety nets. So, that's the question is, how sharp is the market at picking up kind of that worst pain point? Probably around here right now, honestly. What here to Dustin, 415, 420, with big yields. So that's why it's really hard to be like, you have to look at all the different tools and just be very non-emotional on the marketing decision, I think, on a case-by-case basis, because it can kind of get you turned sideways if you just try to outguess it, and you just kind of got to look at what policies did I buy, how much do I have hedged, what's my real yield, how do I think the county is, all those kinds of things, Farm Bill. Yeah, kind of boring, but it's very strategic, right? It's got to be more business decision than emotional at this point.
Well, I think you always, I like the point that you always make, Justin, is that don't get yourself trapped in making a trade versus a business decision, right? Of some sort of opinion on what's too cheap for corn or what's too expensive, or, you know what I mean? Get market directional. That can really jade you in some kind of environment like this.
Yeah, 100%. And, let's be, in a different way of looking at it too, is that everyone does have a trade on right now.
Mm-hmm.
You spent money for fertilizer, rent, like you have a position. The day you write those checks, the day you plant that crop, you have a position, right? So typically it's a long position, right? You're long the market, hoping it goes up. Then you make a crop insurance decision, you've made another trade, right? You've bought some kind of downside protection in most cases, and it depends on what level you bought, right? Then, so you're always kind of monitoring this whole, especially with Farm Bill and a lot of these kind of private products, a lot of these different, I'll call it new age things that are kind of coming into picture here. You've got kind of a portfolio of trades on, right? And like, we're trying to monitor that constantly, be like, okay, like, how do we manage this position? That's really what you're doing. You've got, here's a group of subsidized government programs. Here's some crop insurance things that you bought. Here's some hedges that you have on, and you're just trying to manage that position and make sure that you're not where you don't want to be. right? It's if you, same as a trader, if you had a bunch of different strikes of put options and you had some futures that you were short and the market broke a bunch and all of a sudden you have a bigger net short position than you thought, right? Is that you start, trimming down that position, and vice versa if the market rallies. So it's just kind of working around those numbers. And it just happens to be that we're kind of, the market's really close to where a lot of these are kicking in. So I think that's kind of, personally, I think that's what's going to be going on between now and call it November 1st, October 1st.
No, that's that's really good. And for those folks that may not work with us that are listening this morning, I mean, we really use AgYield in our software to do the things that Justin just mentioned, right? It's how all these pieces come together, how they affect you at any yield or price scenario. So if you got any questions or anything like that, give us a call. I'll be more than happy to talk through that with you. Got a couple minutes here, Rye. Something exciting. I get fresh eyes, it seems like, every day for cattle. And, even hogs started slow yesterday and fought back. So I guess, what are your thoughts here this morning?
Yeah, it's hard to not sound like a broken record here. Just new highs, new contract highs. I mean, it just keeps going. I mean, we are talking to some guys in the industry, getting some of their feedback, some old traders and whatnot, and just, the mood, I would say, in the cattle complex is that, like, there's a lot of just straight up uncertainty with the border closed, with the report coming up, just the situation in general. It just, there's not a big historical precedent. And this is coming from, seasoned veterans, that have been trading this for a long time. So it's kind of just like, it's over when it's over mentality right now. But overall, the trend is your friend. So, I mean, we just really aren't seeing any kind of short covering at this point any kind of long liquidation right now to really kind of stop this thing. We really aren't seeing beef prices scare anybody out of the market. It just seems like we're in a situation that still has a much longer timeline than most realize. And you got a big discount on the board here from cash. That seems like that's really where the big area of support lies. So until something really changes, it just feels like this is just going to keep happening for right now. But yeah, day to day, the beef was a little bit lower. No cash market yet. I think the optimism is still there this week as well. So just kind of watching to see if we get any kind of good, steady firm kind of cash indications at this point. But right now, there's just no news to really break the market. Seems to sweep beef under the rug at this point. But on the hog side of things, yeah, it's been 5 days straight up here. You're running into some pretty important technical areas of resistance right at the 20-day moving average for August. You are seeing a little bit of a down in open interest. So I do think we've seen some covering kind of on this rally, but cutout stayed relatively firm here. And so has cash. So I think this has kind of been a fundamentally based supported rally, and we're not seeing that big seasonal down that I think a lot of people think is coming here down the road. Maybe it's going to be delayed until kind of late August, post Labor Day kind of situation. But yeah, just kind of watching the day-to-day changes in carcass, and it seems like that's been the real area of support right now. So all eyes, I think, are on bellies and headlines at this point, and see if we get any kind of technical pressure now that we're running into those kind of intermediate areas of resistance.
Very good. Appreciate the update there. Also, we thank everybody for tuning in on a daily basis. If you wouldn't mind, throw us a like and certainly subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything to do so. It'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on with AgYield. So again, thanks to everybody that supports the show. We're doing this live every day that the markets are open on X, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live, 8:15 Central Time. I appreciate the thoughts and comments here this morning, guys. It was a good show. Hope everybody has a great day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
The War Room is proudly presented by AgYield. For over 50 years, the AgYield team has provided grain marketing and risk management solutions for growers across the country. Our veteran consultants harness cutting-edge technologies to pinpoint risk, optimize market performance, and protect your farm's profitability. Discover a new approach to farm revenue management at agyield.com.
Hey guys, Jack here. Be sure to support the show by hitting the like button, leaving us a comment, and subscribing to the channel for all the latest updates. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.